Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we are very pleased you've joined us for the Precious Metals and Critical Minerals Conference. The next presentation of the day is from Silverstorm Mining. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book a Meeting. At this point, I am very pleased to welcome Greg McKenzie, President and Chief Executive Officer of Silverstorm Mining, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol SVRSF and on TSXV under the symbol SVRS. Welcome, Greg.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this overview of Silverstorm Mining. Our company is looking to restart the La Paria mine in Durango State in Mexico, and you can see a picture of the plant on your screen. We also hold 100% of the San Diego project, which I will speak to a little later. On your screen, you can see some of the highlights of our company. We are in the first column there. You can see that we note that we are fully financed for the rehabilitation and the ramp up to operations, and we are targeting the second quarter for getting into operations at La Paria. We note that as part of our financing package, we secured an offtake agreement with Samsung. Very good counterparty. We're very happy that they have partnered in with us. And this mine is really a very prolific mine. It had 34 million ounces of silver equivalent production between 2006 and 2019 under the previous owner, First Majestic Silver. And this mine was First Majestic Silver's very first mine, and they were very successful with it and were able to bootstrap from this first mine into buying bigger and bigger mines and morphing into the multi-billion-dollar market cap company that they are today. The mine, when we purchased it, had about $150 million worth of in-place infrastructure. And we were able to buy it with equity. So what you'll see in the capital structure slide is that First Majestic is our largest shareholder. One of the things that we are doing as part of the ramp up is to increase the sulfide circuit capacity by 25%. And that work is ongoing. I'll show you a couple slides on that later. And then finally, it's very important to note that we're fully permitted for operations. In the third column, we are undertaking a 6,000 meter drill program. This is ongoing as we speak. We announced it a few weeks ago. And then in the far right column, we have that our initial asset that we took over the company with in 2020, the San Diego assets, is one of the largest undeveloped silver projects in Mexico. So right now, as we're focused on getting La Paria into operations, once that has occurred, then we'll be able to turn back some of our attention to San Diego to continue to advance it. On this slide, you can see the typical investment curve for mining companies. We are right here in the trough in terms of value creation before we go into operations. Once we go into operations, we expect there to be a material re-rating of the company to bring us in line with other producing companies. But at this time, it's a good opportunity to consider investing in us as we are moving towards operation in the very near term. This slide just shows our capital structure. As I mentioned, First Majestic is our largest shareholder. They are 19%. And Eric Sprott is our largest individual shareholder. He has 11%. Insiders have about 2%. And then other holders own about 68%. And of that, about 30% is new institutional investors that came into the company in 2025. Our market cap is between 450 and 500, depending on the day. We currently have $31 million on our balance sheet, and as I mentioned, we're fully financed for ramping up into operations. And as well, we have significant buffer in that we have $51 million of in-the-money warrants, which come in over the next 3 years. All the details are below in this footnote. And by the way, this presentation is also on our website. We did an offtake agreement with Samsung. Importantly, 100% of our concentrate has been secured to be sold to Samsung. It's a 2-year deal, and it's at market price. This was very important. We wanted to have a good counterparty on our sale of our product. We had a really good process over many months with 7 very serious parties, and we ultimately did a deal with Samsung. And they will buy all of our lead silver concentrate, and they'll also buy all of our zinc concentrate. I'll highlight on this slide Arturo Zamudio, who is our general manager in Mexico, and he used to manage the Pan American Silver's La Colorada mine, which is very near to La Parilla. This slide just talks about our ESG. We're on point with everything. One of the things I like to highlight here is that the local community at La Parilla supplies about 85% of our staff, and that's very important for maintaining good community relations and social license. So we're very pleased that we can get the mine up and going again, and essentially partner with the local communities. We are located in Durango State for both of our assets. You can see that La Parilla is very close to Durango City, the capital. And then San Diego is a little further afield, it's about an hour and a half away. This, having both projects in Durango State helps us coordinate and provides additional synergies. Durango State is a mining culture state. They've been mining there for 500 years. So the people know mining. It's part of their heritage. There's 23 operating mines in Durango State, very strong in-country and local support. And it's very easy to get there from Toronto, where we are based. There's a easy connection through Dallas, Texas, which gets us door to door from Toronto to the mine in about 7 hours. On this slide here, one thing I would like to highlight is that over its operating history from 2012 to 2018, First Majestic would produce on average about 3.5 million ounces of silver equivalent. And it was silver dominant in that 2/3 of the contribution came from silver, and then 1/3 came from lead and zinc. Today, with the higher metal prices, we would expect that the contribution from silver to be well above 80%. So this is a really silver rich operation, and will give investors strong leverage to silver prices. The longest lead item in our restart were the flotation cells. This was the flotation cells that were at the plant were removed by First Majestic when they put the mine on care and maintenance. And this was one thing that we had to replace. So we've increased the capacity by 25%. All the flotation cells are now on site. 2 have already been installed, and the balance are being installed as we speak. On this slide are some pictures of some of the rehab work from September and October that were being completed on the buildings. That's on the left side of the screen. On the right side of the screen is one of the flotation cells being lowered into place to be installed. And this work continues daily. On this next slide, you can see on the left side of the screen some of the equipment. It's all been ordered, and some have already arrived on site, and the balance will be received during the first quarter. On the right side of the screen are 2 ventilation fans that we've ordered. We want to operate with first-class safety, and part of that is making sure there's very good ventilation underground, as this is a fully underground mine. This is our resource statement. There's a lot of detail on this page, but to summarize it, we have about 27 million ounces of silver equivalent, all categories. And added to that is another 3.8 million ounces in pillars that is routinely mined in Mexico, and also by companies like First Majestic. So First Majestic produced 34 million ounces from 2006 to 2019, and we have all categories plus the pillars, 31 million ounces on our books. This slide just shows the 3 mining areas where we'll be mining from: Rosario, San Marcos, and Quebradillas. The next 3 slides are focus in on each of the mining areas. So if you consider the Quebradillas area, the gray is the mined out veins, the blue is the existing tunnels, and the purple and the green are the areas where we were drilling. Those are our drill holes that we did from 2023 to 2024. These drill holes were the basis of the 43-101 technical report that SRK published on March 24 of 2025. I would highlight, you can look at all the highlights of the drilling, but there's one that's really world-class. Hole 2023, number 20, returned 1,810 silver equivalent over 14.6 meters. So that's a top 10 type hole drilled around the world. So it's really fantastic. There's a number of other highlights from each one of the drilling areas over the drill program. The key takeaway from these 3 slides, though, is that the resource is open at depth. So as we develop, we'll continue to drill and mine, and then it's continue to be open at depth, and we'll continue to add more ounces as we drill deeper. The same story is true over here at San Marcos. It's open at depth, and we expect to continue to drill that after we've developed and mined, we'll continue to drill. A couple of weeks ago, we announced that we were commencing a drill program. We had a little bit of extra money on our balance sheet, so we decided to bring forward the drill program that we wanted to do later on. We'll be producing results from this later in the year. But on their way are some infill drilling and some step-out drilling from about 6,000 meters that we're going to do. And then there's a follow-up for another 4,000 meters. Each one of these yellow ellipses on the map are target areas for the drill program, and you can see that they're lettered off. There's 7 different areas that we want to put more holes into, and we're quite excited about the opportunity to follow up on things that we thought were really interesting, but back in 23 and early 24, we didn't have the money to add these additional holes into our drilling budget, but now we have an opportunity to do that. So the geologists are quite excited to be moving forward with this. Here you can see on the left side one of the underground drill rigs going, and then on the right side we've cleared out our drill logging area to be ready to get the new drill core that's coming from the drill program. So that will be split, logged, and sent out for assay as it comes in. So what's left to do at La Paria? Underway is the rehab of the plant. We've started 6,000 meters of drilling, and we're completing the expansion of the sulfide circuit, and all with the goal to restart operations in the second quarter. And everything's on time and on budget. So we're very happy about the progress that's being made. Also in our portfolio is really the big asset. San Diego is one of the largest undeveloped silver-rich resources in Mexico. The prior management team had put out a 43-101 in 2013, and it showed 210 million ounces of silver equivalent resource. They also identified a higher grade expansion opportunity. There's 20 to 50 million tons that were identified in sort of the 100 to 150 gram grade range. And all of this was based on 33,000 meters of drilling. And if you add that all together and consider a number of the other big resources in Mexico, this would come in as a number 3 at this point. Just show you some of the, what we were trying to do when we came in. We were testing these in 2020 when we took over the geological model for San Diego. We identified a number of targets, and these red ellipses on the left side of the screen are representative of those target areas that we were looking to test. And between 2020 and 2022, we basically hit on just about everything. And we were able to, if you look at the right side of the screen now, we were able to prove up a 500-meter vertical section of 1849 zone. And you can see some of the intercepts there are pretty strong. 169 grams over 42 meters, 84 grams over 134 meters, 83 grams over 101 meters. So these are really long intercepts. And then we made an open pit style discovery right from surface. We cut 72 grams over 273 meters. That's 3 football fields length. So we're quite excited to get back here to do more drilling. The market really responded when we were putting out these drill holes. When silver was $26 an ounce, we hit a 100 million market cap, and that was back in 2020 and 2021. And then obviously silver price dipped from there, but now silver price is well north of $26, and we just don't think we're getting any value for San Diego today, as everybody's focused on us getting into operations at La Paria. But ultimately, once we, advance on La Paria, we'll be able to get back to San Diego and start doing more work here. I'll skip through some of these slides. Just talk about silver for a bit. Silver continues to be in deficit. If you go back from 2020 till 2025, there's been 6 years of continuous deficits. The demand in the market is somewhere around $1.2 billion to about $1.2 billion ounces per year, and the market's only producing around 800 million. So it's quite difficult to meet that supply. There's very limited new supply coming on, And the investment, most of silver is byproduct silver production from big copper mines, etc. And so you need much, much higher silver prices to incentivize those big copper producers to increase their production. So what does that mean? That means that silver can stay higher for longer because there's no new supply coming to meet the additional demand. And that's part of the reason why you're seeing higher silver prices now. There's also the other side of the coin where silver prices are going higher because there's a return to monetary uses of silver. In the past 5,000 years, many cultures around the world use gold and silver as currency, and we're seeing a return to that and going away from fiat currencies. There's a lot more information on that, those aspects of silver price out there, but I'll leave those two comments there. Maybe I will stop there and we'll go through some of the questions. I see a lot of questions in the chat. So the first question I see there, is there an upper and lower band for the price on the offtake with Samsung, or is it fully floating? Yes, it's fully floating. It's based on market price, and it's fully floating so that investors have leverage to the silver price. The next question I see there is, once the mine is up and running, what kind of cash flow can you expect on a normalized basis? Well, we haven't put out a feasibility study, as this was a previously operating mine. We have 13 years of data, which is better than any feasibility study. What we do have is the published information from First Majestic, which is on your screen there, like the last 7 years of full operations. They averaged production of 3.5 million ounces, and their C1 cash costs were $846. There's a lot of data out there that gives you the Mexican average of companies like this would be in the low 20s for all-in cost. And we're targeting 3 million ounces, and we don't think we'll be much different than the Mexican averages. So from there, you can calculate significant cash flow generating potential for this mine. The next question I see, what is the production capacity of La Parrilla when in full operation? So as I just said, we're targeting 3 million ounces a year. You can see on the screen that First Majestic averaged 3.5 million silver equivalent ounces per year. Okay, the next question I see is, First Majestic has been trimming but still holds a meaningful stake. How do you interpret their position today? And does their ongoing ownership open the door to future asset or district level collaborations in Durango? So First Majestic has stated repeatedly since we did the transaction that they wanted to be less than 19% holder. Less than 20% holder. And they further stated several times that their business is not to hold the securities of other companies. So I would expect that over time, at some point, that they'll be looking to reduce their investment. And all major companies, if you go back through history, all major companies typically reduce their ownership of much smaller companies over time. Next question is, see, you are going into production in Q2. How much AG equivalent do you think you will do in 2026? So as we said, we have not put out guidance. but our target is our full year target is 3 million ounces. So take 2026 as a ramp up year, and we would be targeting a full 3 million in the full year of 2027. The next question is, your share price has had a very strong move into VRIC and this conference, yet some analysts still argue that there's a disconnect versus the size of your combined resource space. What upside do you see in closing the gap as you hit upcoming milestones? I think, as I was mentioning earlier, typically companies get a re-rating when they go into operations, and we would expect that we will get a re-rating once we can announce that we're in operations. We think that there's a further re-rating coming when we hit our numbers, and then I think at that point in time, people will start giving us some attention for San Diego. Right now, I think we're getting zero. So, I think there's a really big opportunity coming for our investors. One of the key issues as well is that there's very few companies that will have this kind of level of production in the near term. A lot of the silver companies out there are, doing a lot of drilling, but they don't have near-term production. So I think you'll start to see a differentiation in the market over the next year or two. Next question I see, in your recent interviews, you suggested San Diego is getting zero value in the current share price. What specific catalyst, drilling, studies, or strategic partnership could unlock step change in how the market values the asset? Yes, I agree with you. There's a number of different activities that will ultimately unlock value at San Diego. However, as a prudent management team, we have to remain disciplined and get La Paria up and going, and then we can turn more attention to San Diego. And then I guess we're running out of time here, but the last question I see here is, you highlight San Diego as one of Mexico's largest undeveloped silver projects with the 55.5 million ounces and 155 inferred for the 210 million ounces. What is your realistic time frame to move that asset beyond just a resource? So we have not given out a timeline, but you can infer from typical timelines out there in the steps that would have to be taken, additional drilling, engineering, and then obviously the rest of the development timeline, agreements and permits before it would, and financing and construction before it would be going into production. Okay, moderator, I think we are just about out of time. I think we will put it, end there.